I feel like I never got the opportunity to be a child. Never got the opportunity to go outside and play in the dirt and get a magnifying glass and melt some ants. I never got that chance when I was growing up. I was forced to be an adult very earlier on, and that forced me to cause irreparable damage to everybody around me, and it messed me up. It made me feel like I was a bad person for a large part of my life. It made me feel like I was hated by people I never met, people that were judging me because I appeared too mature. And I had to grow up fast. I had to grow up fast because my parents got divorced. I had to understand that why they got divorced is because they fell out of love with each other. But even that wasn't true. It was more complex than that. It was more difficult for me to accept. It was small moments like those where I had to force my age up over and over again. I didn't get the opportunity to play video games all the time. Games weren't allowed to be played. I didn't get the opportunity to go out and explore and get dirty and scrape my knee and fall on the bike. I didn't get the chance to learn how to tie my shoe. I didn't get those opportunities. I was forced to be mature and not cry and power through it because nobody would wait for me. And the world decided not to wait for me to be a child. And I lost a part of my childhood. So nowadays, I like to try my best to be a child. To at least play video games and do the recreational acts. To at least enjoy life. To go to trampoline parks, to go kart. And people judge me for it. Whenever I truly do something that makes me feel good, when I don't drink, when I don't smoke, because those aren't childlike activities, never have done those in my life. I never wanted to. People look at me and they always assume that I'm on something because of the way I speak. You talk like a child, you speak so free, hold something back. I fell back a large part of my life, and I don't want to do that anymore. If I see something, I'm going to point it out. I just want to speak to you. I want to get your real reaction from me. I don't want to hide my nature from you. I want to be here with you so we can understand each other, so we could be here for this reality and this existence. I would like that. There is no rehab for fuck ups. It doesn't exist. There's no moments in life where you could go back and get a repeat of how you did things. The damage has been done, you've made the mistake, and you must learn to fail upwards. A lot of people don't know how to fail upwards. A lot of people grew up in the same mindset where they had to learn. And then when they failed, they gave up because the world wouldn't wait for you. The world wouldn't wait for you to fail. When you fail upwards, you're okay with defeat. This was taught to me in Dark Souls. Playing Dark Souls the entirety of my youth, I was learning how to fail over and over again, constantly. Not getting angry, not breaking my remote, but learning each new step. It was patient with me. It held my hand. It told me, you lost, go get your stuff back. Okay. Do the same route you just did, but this time learn from your mistakes. So I learned the enemy patterns. I learned what people did. I learned how the people operate. I learned how the people read. I learned how to sight read because I play Dark Souls. I learned how to fail upwards. I learned how to look around in my environment and discover who was nagging at me and learn how to pick up social cues and where to code switch and how to operate and how to act because that's how I survived. It's strategic. My kindness is strategic. Everything I do is a strategy to get to the next step so I won't crumble, so I'll live. I have no intention of failing. I don't want to fail. I'm scared of failing so deeply because that means that I've lost. Is probably your mindset. You cannot fear failure. Failure go hand in hand with humanity. It is the part of humanity that exists the most and deeply within you. It is the most beautiful thing about being a person, the ability to fail. We have failed millions of times, but people only talk about the success stories. Nobody wants to talk about all the failed airplanes before the Wright brothers actually did it. Nobody wants to talk about all the failed wheels that didn't work, the failed cars before we got the first car. Nobody wants to talk about every failure prior. We didn't just make a computer. We tried everything beforehand. We didn't just make a TV. There was a lot of explosions. We didn't just make a sword. There was big humps of metal that did nothing. We didn't just make a spear that was refined and crafted. Fire didn't just appear to us one day. We saw it and needed to learn how to recreate it. What was the mechanisms that got us to that point? The steam engine, the steam train, even bread, even cheese. Somebody had to let Milk mold for a while. Cheese was born out of desperation and failure, but we got success from failure. You're cheese. Think about that. Think about blue cheese. You ever see a wheel of blue cheese? My wife told me to look it up a few days ago. That's gross. Oh my god, it's fuzzy and moldy and nasty. It's really nasty to look at. It's right behind me, actually. A wheel of blue cheese? Disgusting. But people like blue cheese. Kombucha. That's failure. That's fermented. Alcohol is fermented, letting things wait and sit too long. And we make something out of that failure, out of that seemingly unsuccessful attempt. We create something from that. Black people do this too as well. We were given the scraps. Well, not my people. I'm from Africa. However, black people in America were given the scraps of everything. We're given the scraps. What happened after that? They made chitlins and collard greens and all this food from struggle food. When you're at home alone and you make that perfect ramen, that's failing upwards. You have nothing, so you create something. And you have nothing within your soul. You are forced to grow up because you were told to yourself you couldn't fail. You couldn't fail. How could you? You're too good. You weren't allowed to fail. And you didn't learn how to fail. And whenever you think you can't do something immediately, you give up on it. Whenever you half-ass something and you put a little bit of effort into it and you give up and quit immediately, you're failing yourself. You're giving up on yourself. Why would you do that? You're all you have for the most part. You may not have a really deep support system. Your friends may not always be available, but you know who you have to rely on? Sometimes you have to break your own neck so you have a shoulder to lean on. And you walk around with that broken neck, crick in your neck, messed up bones, arthritis going and corpusing and annihilating your body, migraining your head, and you still go to work, no Tylenol. And you still make it. And you don't know how you're going to make rent, but you made it anyway, didn't you? You failed upwards. You figured out what you had to budget. Through failure, you create success. And because many people don't know how to fail, and because they don't understand the effort they have to put in to get delayed gratification, waiting, being patient. You want things to be instant ramen, instant rice, instant videos, instant entertainment. The TikTokification of failure. Learning that failure is never going to be successful. When you don't see that video do good, you private it. When you don't think you're doing great, you give up. When you break your legs, you don't go to the hospital. You feel like you don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to bother you. I don't want to bother you. Why would I do that? It's messed up. You need to learn how to fail upwards in a gradual exponential progression loop that will leave you at the mercy of only yourself. And that's where I want you to be at. I need you to learn how to fail upwards. And it's going to be hard. You're going to fail a lot. It's going to be difficult. But I want to tell you that you have all the time in the world to fail. You really do. I know you may feel like your clock is running out, but just buy another watch. That's all you got to do. Because yours is broken, obviously.